In this video, we'll figure out how to live on an extremely low income. Let's start by creating a budget. The first action is a cost analysis. If you're having trouble managing the money you get, start to figure out where it's going. Make a list of known monthly expenses, such as rent, utilities, and transportation. Then, using your credit card and bank statements from the past 3 months, categorize the remaining expenses into the following categories: food, necessities, medical expenses, entertainment, and others. Determine how much you spend on average per month for each category, and use that amount as a starting point. The second action is to choose what you can save money on. After you've written down all of your expenses, look at these categories and determine where you can save money. Are there ways to spend less on things like food or entertainment? Do you spend more on food or clothing than you think you do? Analyze all of your spending items and really assess whether you can cut back on them. Third action, make a budget. Combine your list of past expenses with the areas you want to improve, and make a monthly budget that you will work on in the future. Make sure your budget is within reach, and give up things you really don't need. Once you've made a budget, stick to it as long as possible and only change it as needed. It's a good idea to write your budget down in a prominent place, like on your refrigerator or door, and check with it once a week to see how things are going. Having a clear idea of how much you're spending will motivate you to reach your savings goals. Fourth action, consider the use of cash. Financial experts may recommend using cash only for purchases if you have a small monthly budget. Using a card or debit card can make it difficult to track actual spending. Switch to this method for at least the first few months of your new budget to adapt to new spending patterns and avoid the extra costs associated with using credit cards. Now let's find ways to save money. First, saving on rent. Consider whether you can cut your housing costs, since the biggest savings can come from cutting high-cost categories such as rent and mortgage. If you are in a situation where you can leave your home without paying a penalty, you can also look for cheaper rent. Are you in a particularly difficult situation? Micro-housing is a basic form of economic living, renting a micro-apartment or buying a small house. In the long run, you can save a lot of money if you stick to a simple lifestyle. Second, reduce utility expenses such as water, sewer, electricity, cable, internet, garbage disposal, and natural gas are among the monthly expenses. Some of these expenses are necessary, but there are ways to save money by reducing your utility usage. Take a shower instead of a bath to save time. Also, always turn off faucets completely. Make sure there are no leaks and don't use too much water. Always turn off lights in rooms that are not in use. In winter, insulate windows with clear plastic or plastic sheeting to prevent heat buildup in cold weather. This will help lower your energy bills. If you have internet on your cell phone, consider giving up cable internet and working on your computer at a public library where you can get free internet. You can also check email and Facebook on your cell phone, but giving up wired internet can save you money. Many cable and cell phone companies are in fierce competition, so there are many ways to save money if you're careful. Cell phones are often much cheaper than new phones, and swapping out your cable TV for some movie-watching services can save you hundreds of dollars a year. Energy supplies have been liberalized in some areas, allowing consumers to find the cheapest prices. Third, save on food. Another major family expense is food spending. While we can get rid of the need to eat out every day, we can do more by rethinking how we spend money on food. In general, you can save money if you eat at home instead of out, and if you buy and cook fresh food instead of convenience foods. Basic foods such as rice, beans, and lentils are really nutritious and inexpensive. These inexpensive foods can be used to make the basic elements of meals, and you can add fresh vegetables, spices, and meats for variety. If you stick to these staples and cook your own meals, you can save a lot of money on your monthly food expenses. Coupons are another way to save money on food and household items. You can look for coupons for items you already plan to buy and plan your weekly menu around those items for which you can get coupons. Consider bulk purchases of non-perishable foods. Buying toothpaste, paper towels, toilet paper, garbage bags, dry pasta, oatmeal, rice, dry beans, and so on. These bulk purchases will save you money in the long run. If you don't plan to freeze food, and you have the space, buy vegetables and other fresh produce in small quantities. Fourth, eat less outside the home. Every time you eat out, you pay for the food you buy, for the work of the person who prepares it, for the packaging of the food or meal, and for the environment in which you eat. This means you can save money by not eating out, or by eating out less often. You can save money by simplifying meals and side dishes, reducing alcohol consumption in restaurants, and looking for specials. Fifth, savings on transportation costs. Transportation costs can also increase. You can save on transportation costs by walking or biking to work whenever possible, or by taking public transportation instead of a car. When these small savings, including savings on gasoline, parking, and car wear and tear, add up, they can make a big difference in your income and expenses for food, utilities, and other expenses. Many employees now work from home at least one day a week, saving money and travel time. Check with your employer to see if you can work full-time or occasionally from home, if your job allows. You can also save money on state aid. Let's look at that option. First, apply for housing allowance. Rent is a major monthly expense for many people, and depending on their income, they may be eligible for housing allowance. This benefit can take two forms. 1. Rent subsidy, where the government pays part of the rent, and 2. Rent reduction. Both benefits depend on family income and the number of people living in the house. Look up housing assistance in the state where you live. The second is the application for food assistance. In addition to housing assistance, the federal government and most state governments also provide assistance to low-income individuals and families. Eligibility depends on family size and the number of people living in the same home, and the amount of aid you receive may depend on income. 8. Don't live alone. Rent can be one of the biggest monthly expenses, but it doesn't have to be. It used to be impossible for me to live alone in an apartment. There was no way I could afford it. But even if I had rented a room at my house, it would have cost me half my salary. Fortunately, I was in a relationship, so by renting a room with a partner, I cut my rent in half. However, not everyone can or should have a partner to live with. If that's not possible, I would rent an apartment with a roommate rather than sublet the room, as I did while studying. Compared to similar apartments, renters often raise the cost of the rooms they sublet in order to make a profit. Knowing this, I saved myself $200 a month. Thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to apply at least some of the tips provided in this video.